Hello, I'm Rod Howe. I'm the Executive Director of the History Center in Tompkins County, and welcome to the inaugural show of Discover History. This is going to be a new monthly magazine-style format show where you'll learn about not only the History Center and what's happening there, but about things that you can go out and discover around our county. We are a county rich with history. So please do tune in on a regular basis, whether through Pegasus 13, or we will also share the information in our newsletter that you can check it out on YouTube. So welcome to Discover History. I am joined by Sachem Sam George, who I'll more fully introduce in a minute, but I want us to look at a clip that Donna Eschenbrenner has recorded about how you can use our new research library.
Hi, I'm Donna Eschenbrenner, archivist at the History Center in Tompkins County. Welcome to the History Center's new archives. Our new archive is a very special place that's an interesting combination of the very old and the very new. The very new is these state-of-the-art 21st century movable shelving units. This is where the very old is captured, where it's protected and preserved. We can move our shelving to capture extra space to hold more collections. We have historic newspapers, we have historic maps, we have photographs dating back to about the 1860s, we have historic manuscript collections. And one collection that's a particular favorite with our researchers is our scrapbook collection. We have scrapbooks that date back to about the 1850s. Some of them look like this. They're just basic old-fashioned scrapbooks where people, local historians, local antiquarians, have captured historic newspaper articles documenting the history of our county. Some of our scrapbooks, though, are a little bit different and a little bit more unique. There's one that's particularly special that I like to show people as often as I can. There was a photographer that worked in Groton. His name was Vern Morton. He was a self-taught naturalist. And what Morton did in order to train himself on the local natural environment was he studied plants and he captured some of them and he preserved them in this herbarium. This has a number of the different plants that existed here in Tompkins County in the 1890s and early 1900s when Morton was using his photographic collection. We have many more treasures like this, and all of them are accessible in our research library, and I look forward to sharing them with you the next time we look at the library. Thank you.
So, Sachem Sam George, thank you so much for being here today. You're our first guest on this premiere show.
I'm honored.
And we're honored to have you here, so thank you very much. So can you first just tell us who you are?
I was I was given the title of Soyon Luis in 2005, April of 2005, and I've been in that chief's title now for quite some time and doing whatever I can. I am a member of the Bear Clan of the Gayogo, Cayuga Nation.
And it's important for people to understand, why do you say Gayogo? What does that mean?
Gayogo is another word for Cayuga. We were never Cayuga. That was an English word that was given to us. People along the lake. People from first we were the people of the Long Pipe, and then we became the people of the Mucky Lands, or some people refer to the people of the swamp. So,
and it's great that I've now been to a number of events at the Tompkins Center for History and Culture where many people have heard us say Gayogo, and they will try to say the word. Many of them actually say it correctly. Mm-hmm. So we're making an impact where people are starting to say Gayogo rather than Cayuga. The other word that we're trying to get people to say is Haudenosaunee rather than Iroquois. Why is it important that we not use the term Iroquois?
Well, the Iroquois word is a French word that came to us from a Huron name. It was called black snake. We're not black snakes. The other version I heard is that it's a French word and it refers to snake eaters. We're not snake eaters. The Haudenosaunee people are people of Longhouse, and that Longhouse is Mother Earth is our ground, sky is our ceiling, and everything in between. We're all related. So.
And there's one more word that we are getting people used to saying. What is that word?
Scano.
And what does that scano mean?
Scano means peace, wellness, greetings. We use it. I've let people know that when you see each other, you always say scano. We're a peaceful people, so we really don't need to be warlike or whatever. So scano is our peace to you. Back in the 60s, it used to be the sign.
And when people walk into the Tompkins Center for History and Culture, they actually hear these words pronounced by Steve Henhawk. So Steve, tell us a little bit about Steve Henhawk.
Steve came to us as a language teacher. He's very well versed in language. He learned from his grandmother and his grandparents, and some of the elders at the... And so he came when we asked for a language teacher, because some of the young people asked for a language. They didn't know the language. So he's come down to come over to help us. He's also Gayogo himself of the Wolf clan. So.
Because my understanding is there's very few people who actually currently speak the Gayogo language.
Right.
So he's teaching his own peers how to speak the language.
The last I heard from him, he said that we're down to about 10 original first speakers. But we have a lot of young people now that are learning. We have 4 or 5 different classes going all over. Here, there's one in Niagara Falls, there's another going to start later on, and there's quite a few going on at Six Nations right now.
I know when he did a program, this probably goes back a year and a half or so ago at the History Center, our former location, it was very popular. Many people came, and so we're hoping to have Steve come back and do another presentation on Gayogo language. While we're on words, maybe people will be curious that we said Sachem. What does Sachem mean, and why do we say Sachem rather than chief?
Sachem, what I was told by an elder is we say Sachem because we're leaders. We're not the boss of anything. We just we help protect the people inside the circle.
And how many leaders are there for the Haudenosaunee?
Right now we have 35 out of the 50, and we're working on getting those filled up.
So we thought it was really important, as the Tompkins Center for History and Culture was to open, to send a message, and to send a message that this was Cayuga land, Gayogo land. And so we had a team that we pulled together to think about what needed to be represented in that exhibit tower when you first walked in, but also what would go into this wonderful animation that we have once you're in the History Center. So let's start with the Atrium Exhibit Tower. I know you felt that it was really important to send some messages with how we went about putting together that tower in the atrium. What do you remember as some of the things that you wanted to convey?
I think the first thing we wanted to do is to let people know that we were here thousands of years ago, and there was an archaeologist that had come up with some sacred items, some tools that we used in the past. Also, there's a pipe that's also in the display that we people with the long pipe. We had the pipe there. Also, we wanted to let them know that we're here. We didn't leave. Always been here, and we're not going anywhere. So that's the first part. Has a lot to do with the history that we've been here over 13,000 years, and that. And then it goes on to the other side, and we also wanted to let them know how to identify us, and that's, if you look at the top, you'll see the pictures of the 2 Kastoas, is what we call them. And you'll see the one feather back, that means it's Cayuga or Gayogo, is how we identify ourselves.
Yeah, I think people are very surprised when we tell them there's been an indigenous population here that goes back 13,000, 14,000 years. I think people had no idea. They certainly knew that there was the Haudenosaunee, but they didn't know how far back that might have proceeded. So it's great that we're educating people about how long there's been a population here.
Yeah, that was the main point, is to educate people that of who they are. I know there's things going on at different people's houses. I've heard people telling me that things are going on at their house they don't understand. Also, some of the neighbors are telling me there's a circle someplace that doesn't go away, even if they turn the earth over, the circle is still there. Other people are saying that I think there's a graveyard that used to be behind my house because I see things and hear things back there going on. So yeah, our ancestors are still here.
Mm-hmm. We once did a great program with Kurt Jordan, who was actually part of our team. He's a professor at Cornell, who helped us make some decisions about what to show. And he has this great presentation about this history being hidden, forgotten, and destroyed. So we're trying to highlight some of that history and call attention to it. So this exhibit starts to do that. Tell me more about the headdress, the formal name. You called it a gastoa.
Gastoa.
So what is that? What is a gastoa?
A gastoa is what we use during ceremonies. The other one that I wear, it has the horns on it, which is given to everybody that's been what we call put in place. We take these titles that have been around for lots, time immemorial, I guess the words would be. And so the title keeps on going through the families, and the horns represent are taken from the deer, because the deer is the leader of all the animals. And with that we get, I know it happens with me, is that I get messages way before things happen. I'm sensitive to those things, and also can know that things are going to be okay before I get there. So it's very interesting to tell me those things.
So I think we have sent a message about this past, present, and future. Mm-hmm. We certainly have images of current people who are active and have plans for the future. So as you said, it's not just about the past, it's about the present and the future as well. I believe that there's also a second row wampum in the display case. Can you say what's the significance of a two-row wampum? What's the significance of that?
The two-row wampum is a treaty that was made with the Dutch, the Europeans. They came here a way long time ago before anything got out of hand. We understood that they wanted to be our fathers, and we said, no, we'll be brothers. And what that means, the two-row is two rows of purple. In between there's 3 rows of white beads, and they represent the peace, power, and respect, or peace, power, and forever. Forever meaning as long as the sun comes up in the west, comes up in the east, that's in the west. As long as the grass is green, as long as the water flows. That's how long this treaty is going to be continuing. And even today, that treaty is probably the most important one that we try to get people to understand. And the 2 purple rows go side by side. One is the canoe, that's our people, and one is the ship, which is the European or Dutch. And if you look at it, you'll see that they're both even, and they're both going down this river of life, and we don't interfere in your business, you don't interfere in our business, but we can help each other.
Why don't we pause there for a minute? I want to show folks another clip. In each segment, we're going to focus on something from our collections. So you will see Cindy Cantu highlighting some material that's currently out in the exhibit hall.
Hello, my name is Cindy Kjellander-Cantu, curator at the History Center in Tompkins County. Today I'm going to talk about the Tarbells. Dr. Tarbell and Mary Conant met at a very young age. They were childhood sweethearts, met in Groton. Their courtship was interrupted when Dr. Tarbell joined the army and went to Civil War. He was a prisoner of war, and then as he was going through war, they were in contact with each other, exchanging letters. Throughout those hardships, they still survived as a as a couple. And when he was released on a 30-day furlough, Dr. Tarbell came to Groton and married Mary. And the honeymoon was short-lived when Dr. Tarbell returned to the Civil War to finish his service with the Army. After returning from the Civil War, Mary and Dr. Tarbell had 3 children, and Dr. Tarbell became the Tompkins County clerk and finished his career as becoming a life insurance agent. What we have here is Mary Conant's, or Mary Tarbell's, wedding dress, along with images and personal items of the Tarbells, including Dr. Tarbell's diaries during the Civil War. I hope you come to visit and explore more of the Tarbell family history. Thank you.
So we're back. I hope you enjoyed that clip. I just want to mention that the exhibit tower was named in honor of a local business that's Native American run on Go Away. They make crates, so we're pleased that they chose pallets. We're pleased that they chose to have their name on that exhibit tower, especially given that we're starting with the Gayogo people. So I wanted to mention that. Let's go now. Once you go into the History Center, there's a very stylized 2.5-minute animation that's meant to convey some additional information. It has several elements woven into it. It's beautiful to watch. Can you recall some of what we wove into that animation?
The first thing we wanted to do was get our introduction to the creation story. And that was well done, I believe, by the people that put it up there after many discussions. And then it goes on to our Thanksgiving address and what we give thanks for.
And what are some of the things that we give thanks for?
Well, we start in the spring. We give thanks for the maple tree because they're the leader of all the forests, all the trees. They give us sap. Then we survived on for a couple of times that we had to do that. And then it goes on to the animals. So, like I said, the deer being being the leader of the animals, and it goes on to strawberries. There's corn. We give thanks for all the corn, beans, and squash, the foods, and then we give thanks to the 4 beings that were. And I think that was the faces that we have now.
And it has a wonderful, I love the image of Taganic Falls with the stars at night. Why would we have put in Taganic Falls? What's this?
Taganic Falls, what we found out through our teacher is that in the past, that's where we gave thanks for the fish. So we had a fish ceremony down there at Taganic Falls, and the fish would come in after the ice breaks. So we went down there and we didn't do the whole ceremony. We just did the tobacco bearing part of it, and then we went spearing inside the water, which was very cold at that time. That's in early spring. So that's a significant part of our history, of our culture and language.
There's also a great image. Of course, the History Center has lots of maps in our collection, but there's this great drawing of how indigenous populations saw the land, and it's a drawing, and it's such a contrast to then how the land looks from a map perspective when they drew the military lots on it. So we embedded that hand drawing, I don't know if you remember that, of how the land was viewed at that time. Do you remember how the last image?
The baby?
And why do we have a baby as the last image?
She was born on territory, original, so she's original, and it shows the future of our people. She's going to be the future.
So it's still about that past, present, and future,
yes.
Reminding folks that there's a future.
What I forgot to mention in the past was the Sullivan campaign, and I know that's a sore spot in most people's history, but it has to be told, and it has, and some of the people now understand why some of the things are happening in their area, and it's because they were given an order to come and destroy and burn everything that we had. And so they did. They burned down our peach trees, they took all our food, burned it. And from one soldier's account, I guess, they kept some of the food because they were hungry too.
I remember we had a lot of discussions about how much focus to put on Sullivan's campaign. You didn't want that to define the exhibit,
No,
but it had to be told
mentioned, yes.
and mentioned. So it's an unfortunate part of our history, but it's part of the history that needed to be told. And it does explain what happened when there was a dispersal of the population. In fact, that's how many folks ended up in Canada.
Right. One of the things I found out recently is that the reason DeWitt was given the job of, what's the word? Dividing the land
surveyor.
up, surveying the land, and it was to pay off the soldiers. They came and destroyed the
Right,
people.
the military lots were given for their service in the Revolutionary War. Let's take another break, and this time we're going to hear from one of our docents. So the front reception desk is now covered in large part by volunteers. Many of them went through a program called Tompkins County Heritage Ambassadors, and we asked Bill to say just a few words about what it was like for him to be a docent and why he was doing this.
Hi, my name is Bill Demo, and I'm a docent here at the History Center. I went through the Historic Ambassador training, as you can see from my t-shirt. And one of my favorite parts of the History Center is the Tommy plane, which is behind me because I have an interest in aviation. But the History Center has wonderful exhibits on any number of topics. Another favorite of mine is architecture. So we certainly welcome people to come down here and take part in the experience here. And I became interested because when I saw the History Center was opening down here, I thought, boy, that's a good opportunity for me to learn more about Ithaca and what's going on culturally and historically, because while I have a very active life in Ithaca as a retiree and have been involved in a number of boards and nonprofit organizations, I didn't feel I knew enough about the history and culture of Ithaca, and so this is the great opportunity to learn, and I've been here doing that ever since, and I welcome others to do the same.
So we hope that you'll come in and meet many of our docents at the History Center and the Tompkins Center for History and Culture. It's such a mouthful to say all of that. So there's one other image in that animation, Daskahe. Can you Daskahe. Can you say what was his significance? Why did we include a picture of him in the animation?
Daskahe was one of our first Haudenosaunee people to want to go give our message to all the nations. So he went to the League of Nations, at the time it wasn't the UN, to deliver this message in Geneva, Switzerland. And when he got there, he was told that he wouldn't be able to do that. And the story is that the mayor of the town heard about what was going on, invited him to come talk to the town and the town people. Some of the other countries heard about it, so they came and listened to him too, and they really liked what he had to say. In fact, he even left a copy of his words there so that they'll get to read and hear about it. But he's very important to our people because he was the first one to go there on our Haudenosaunee passport also, and that to introduce to them who we are.
Now, I should mention to our viewers that they have limited time to come and see the Atrium exhibit tower because that will be coming down at the end of August. So please I'm going to encourage the public to go in and see that exhibit before the end of August. But the animation will stay up for a long time. And then we do have some artifacts in the timeline as well that are on loan from us. But please do come in the next couple of weeks to see the atrium exhibit tower before it is taken down. I want to mention some other things that there have been discussions about to call attention to this part of our history. So we're working with the city of Ithaca to have some signs put along Cayuga Street that would be added to the existing street signs in, say, Gayogo. So it's been a sort of a plotting process, but we're still hoping to, by the end of the year, have some of those signs up on Cayuga Street. We've also talked about, wouldn't it be great down the road if there might be some sort of sculpture at Stewart Park that represents this history. We hope to do maybe a bike tour highlighting our Native American history. So there's a number of elements. Oh, and I know we recently had a discussion with a City of Ithaca employee that they have a long-term plan of doing more, calling attention to some of our history along one of the stream corridors. Actually in an area where the History Center used to be on State Street. So there's a number of things that we're trying to move forward on. As we're starting to close, what else would you want the public to know about the Cayuga people, the Gayogo?
That we're not going anywhere, first of all. We're here. We would like to educate as much as possible. If anybody needs to get a hold of us, probably through the History Center would be the best way to do it. And just to know that we're peaceful people. We do want to make sure that the lake stays pretty clear because there's going to be generations coming and they're going to need water. Right? That one of the things, my biggest thing now is the farmers in the area. Some of them have realized that what they were using on their land is damaging the water near their place. And I said, well, if it's damaging your water, what it's going to go do to the lake?
Well, Sachem, Sam, George, thank you so much for being here, being first guest on our new show. We hope that folks will tune in on a regular basis. We're going to close with some upcoming programs, so please do come and visit the History Center at the Tompkins Center for History and Culture.